Gojo high out of his head and laughing and smiling all throughout. But that high and pure joy came out of more or less dying in the hands of Toji. But then Gojo used reverse curse technique to repair himself and get him up and alive again. Doesn't this remind you of a certain other series that I always reference in my videos? The groundbreaking, internet-shattering One Piece episode 1071, where we see the return of Joy Boy in the form of Gear 5 and potentially Luffy's strongest form going forward in the story. Just like how Gojo more or less died and came back to life stronger than ever, Luffy's heart stopped. Momonosuke and Zunisha, who can hear the voices of all things, which is basically like hearing the inner essence of another being. Both of these characters mentioned that they couldn't hear Luffy's voice anymore, meaning that Luffy 100% died at the hands of Kaido. But at the end of episode 1070, we hear Luffy's heartbeat and gasp at the sound of the drums of liberation. Luffy comes back to life and the declaration by Zunisha that Joy Boy has finally returned. And it ends with Luffy smiling for joy and ready for his grand finale fight against Kaido. Add to that, Gojo has white silver hair, and Gear 5 Luffy has white hair as well, and is basically white all over. In anime and manga, it is said that characters that have white hair symbolize experience and wisdom. Look at Kakashi and Gojo. They both have white silver hair, and they're both teachers in their respective universes. Look at Goku's Ultra Instinct form. Goku has silver hair there. Now, I know the running joke in the community is that Goku will have a transformation with all the colors at some point. But if you actually believe that Goku's Ultra Instinct form will be his last transformation, it actually makes sense that it will be. Because all of his experience and fighting knowledge in battling against the gods of destruction, fighters from different universes, tyrannical evil overlords that can control the universe, to androids, to even normal humans. Goku has literally fought them all, so it makes sense for his final transformation to be the one with white hair, symbolizing all the experience he had accumulated over the years of fighting and training. That is why episode 1071 is called Luffy's Peak, because he has also had so much experience now with the Marineford War, battling against the admirals, going up against the warlords of the sea, and now fighting against the emperors of the sea, up against Kaido, who is called the world's strongest creature. So of course, Luffy is battle-hardened and is wise and experienced in his fighting, which makes sense for the color scheme of Gear 5 to be white. However, Gojo already had white silver hair to begin with, and that makes sense because Gojo was in his peak since the day he was born. Gojo's birth tipped the balance of power back into the Jujutsu sorcerer's favor. Hoji even said that Gojo was the first and last person to ever see him sneak up on someone. Hoji, the sorcerer killer, the master assassin. Gojo as a kid clocked on that Toji was sneaking up behind him. Gojo was overpowered from the start. His power itself is knowing everything. Look at episode 7 of season 1 when Gojo used his domain expansion against Jogo. Jogo said whilst he was in Gojo's domain Infinity Void, he was getting fed unlimited information. As Gojo said himself, you know everything, but you can't do anything. He is also one of the rare members in the Gojo clan to have both the Six Eyes and the Limitless, so I don't need to further explain how much of a monster Gojo already was since the day he was born, but him having the white silver hair symbolically makes sense because he has all the knowledge in his power, in which not only is he the strongest sorcerer in the world, but he is also a teacher, sharing his knowledge and wisdom to his students who are potentially the strongest group of sorcerers coming through the ranks in Yuta, Hakari, Megumi, and Yuji. Now, other than the color scheme and the whole both Luffy and Gojo coming back to life after dying in battle, look at both of these characters. Look at how insanely happy they look. Look at the joy in their faces. Luffy throughout his fight against Kaido was always smiling. Even before Gear 5, Luffy was smiling, but then he went into Gear 5 and a different smile appeared. Same with Gojo. Gojo usually has that cocky smile whenever he fights, but after getting killed by Toji and coming back to life, he has that same smile that Luffy had when he went Gear 5, and that is the smile of freedom. Luffy mentioned back in Shapodia Archipelago to Rayleigh that he wants to be the Pirate King because the Pirate King is the freest man in the sea. Well, thanks to the bombastic nature of Gear 5 being so cartoony and over the top, it basically allows Luffy to have that power of freedom to do whatever he wants. Luffy pulled the ground up and deflected Kaido's Borrow Breath attack in the latest episode, and minor spoilers for the fight, he even takes a bolt of lightning and throws it at Kaido. Yes, the man made of rubber is throwing lightning bolts. But when you see Gojo, he is also free now. Throughout season 2 of Jujutsu Kaisen so far, Gojo is holding back he's always saying that himself and Geto are the strongest in the world. But after he came back to life with reverse curse technique, he declared that he alone is the honored one. He even mentions that he doesn't feel sad or angry for the fact that Rico is dead. He doesn't feel angry at Toji for killing Rico. Yes, Rico was Gojo's friend and they were bonding, but remember at the beginning of season 2 when Gojo and Geto were playing basketball, Gojo doesn't care about the weak and non-sorcerers. Rico falls into that category. Yes, Gojo did end up bonding with her and he went out of his way to protect her, but at the end of the day, Rico is still a normal human being. Yes, she is the star plasma vessel, but it's not like she is strong herself. You can't imagine her going up against the assassins that wanted to kill her for the money. Gojo saying that he doesn't feel anything for Rico's death suggests that at some point he probably assumed that she would die anyway because she is also a weak character in terms of power level. So he knew this, but he never admitted it. That's why Gojo is saying all of these things now. He's at that point where he had found full freedom. So whatever he's saying, that's the way he truly feels. So all those times he mentioned that himself and Geto are the strongest. When he declared that he alone is the honored one, he is basically saying, I am the strongest. No one is on my level. He's not lying to us, the audience, anymore. We knew he was the strongest, and now he finally admits that he alone is the strongest. With him also using Hollow Purple, which is a rare technique even amongst the Gojo clan, that cements him as the strongest in the world and one of the strongest members in the history of the Gojo clan. From the animation point of view, there is obviously a massive difference between the two characters. Luffy has the Looney Tunes insanity going on, whilst Gojo up in the sky was calm and mellowed out. What I really liked with both episodes is that when Gojo was up in the sky and called himself the Honored One, a similar scene also happened with Luffy, where Luffy's Conqueror's Haki split the sky and cleared the clouds, showcasing the arrival of Joy Boy. Zunisha declared Luffy as Joy Boy, and Gojo declared himself as the Honored One. Anyway guys, hope you enjoyed this video. What do you guys think of the parallels between Gojo and Gear 5 Luffy? Do you think Oda took some inspiration from Akutami in making Gear 5? Do you agree with the themes of freedom and wisdom in regards to the color schemes of both characters? Luffy's fruit is basically the sun god Nika fruit, which allows him to have the freak Looney Tunes like powers that basically allows him to do whatever he wants with his imagination. Whilst Gojo, being the strongest in the world, is referred as the god of the Jujutsu Kaisen first. Us fans numerous times have called him the lonely god of Jujutsu Kaisen. There are plenty of videos on YouTube dissecting the loneliness in being the strongest. So there are parallels and differences as well. One's godly powers gives him absolute joy and the other makes him live a life of solitude. But both have reached a level of freedom that no other character in their respective universes have reached. Anyway, don't forget to subscribe to the Shaman Tribe.